Young Corley, before I go to leaders' questions, I think it is important that we put on the record this House our heartfelt sympathy with the Black family, with Yvonne Black, who's been made widowed, and two young children whose father has been taken from them in the most heinous, callous crime. And just to say that I think it behoves everyone in this House to reject out of hand this flawed philosophy of violence and murder, and to say that it sullies the Irish flag and wilfully rejects the Irish people's will as expressed in the Good Friday Agreement. And I would call on everybody to condemn this cowardly, murderous barbarity. Taoiseach, I missed the press conference, so I assume that St James's site is the one that has been announced to be selected. And obviously, Fergal Bowers did bring this to our attention some time ago. But nevertheless, I do welcome the fact that an announcement has been made in the selection of a National Paediatric Children's Hospital, and to say that we fully support it, and that all parties have agreed that a children's hospital is required. Now, Taoiseach, I just have a few questions to ask in the context of this particular proposal. Obviously, the timeline is indicated that it's going to slip into 2017 or 2018. So could we have a definite timeline with regard to when it will go for planning, the resourcing and revenue stream that will be required to fund the process of the planning phase and construction? And when does the Taoiseach envisage that it will be completed in the time ahead? And equally, Taoiseach, in tandem with the development of the National Paediatric Hospital, there's obviously grave concern that the present children's hospitals could be downgraded. I would just ask, Taoiseach, could you confirm that there will be some funding stream put in place as well, in tandem, to ensure that there isn't a diminution of children's services in the present children's hospitals while we're waiting for the National Paediatric Hospital to be built?
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
First of all, it goes without saying, Concorda, that the House stands united in condemnation of the callous murder of David Black. And made the point at the North-South Ministerial Council the other day, in the company of the Taoiseach and the First Minister and Deputy First Minister of the Northern Ireland Assembly, that Yvonne Black had lost her husband, that her children, Kyle and Kylie Ciara, had lost their father, and that Ulster had lost a hard-working citizen. And we unreservedly condemn this. On behalf of the government, I was happy to say that the working relationship between Minister Shatter and Minister Ford, and between the Commissioner Callan and Matt Baggett of the PSNI, and the relationship between the Gardaí and the PSNI is working exceptionally well at the very highest level. I do hope, Concorda, that the perpetrators of this murder are brought before the courts and that justice be done and be seen to be done. We do not want a return to this kind of callous tragedy. We do not want a return to this senseless kind of murder. And all the agencies of the state will be at the disposal of the PSNI and the Northern Ireland authorities to see that those who perpetrated this are brought to justice as quickly as possible. Thank Deputy Kelleher for raising that, and you can take it that the capacity and information available to us here is at the disposal of the authorities in Northern Ireland, and vice versa also applies. In regard to the Children's Hospital, the National Paediatric Hospital, the government at its meeting today confirmed that the decision is to build the National Paediatric Hospital on the site at St James's Hospital. I think Minister Riley has been careful and realistic in his assessment of the timeline for completion of the Children's Hospital facility in late 2017 and early 2018. Work can commence immediately, Deputy Kelleher, in relation to vacating relevant temporary structures and buildings in the James's site that currently provide clinical and non-clinical service. The proposed development site for the paediatric hospital can be available within 6 months, with clearance, decanting and enabling works happening during 2013 and 2014. And construction of the new Children's Hospital can commence by 2015. Now, clearly, there has to be a design and process and procurement structure all dealt with. The issue of planning permission and all of that has to be gone through. So it's not a case of being able to give you, a specific month by which the entity is going to be complete. Suffice it to say, Deputy Kelleher, that I'm glad that clarity is now brought into the situation here. And government have made a very clear decision to build a National Paediatric Hospital on the St James's site. I thank everybody who provides care and attention for our children in all the medical facilities. And I do hope that despite the great difference of opinion among many medical people at the very highest level, that there will now be buy-in to the decision of government that the interest here is to provide the really very best facilities for all the children of the island, indeed, who will avail of the services of the hospital and the staff there once it's provided and once it's built. You can take it that the Minister for Health and the government are and will always be anxious to see that in the intervening period that the facilities and the resources are made available to the existing children's hospital facilities, that they can continue to provide the first-class care and attention that they have always done, despite inadequate resources on many occasions and despite cramped space in other conditions. It is, of course, Deputy Kelleher, in the country's interests that government see that that happens, and that will happen.
Thank you. Deputy Kelleher.
Thank you, Taoiseach, for your reply. Just in the context of the first issue, I hope that everybody, and I obviously expected the Taoiseach and all other political leaders to condemn out of hand the murder, and I welcome your comments. I know it's a very difficult comfort to Yvonne and her family. On the issue of the Children's Hospital itself, Taoiseach, we do have concerns because, quite simply, philanthropy is a way of funding this. The licence for the sale of the lottery is also another area that's been earmarked. But because of the difficult economic environment, there is major concerns out there, as expressed by some very senior paediatricians and others, that the downgrading of services in the present children's hospitals will be used to fund and the stream of resources that will be required for this children's hospital. So really what we need, Taoiseach, is that there's a clear funding mechanism put in place in the context of Budget 2013 and thereon. And also, with regard to the National Paediatric Hospital Development Board, the concerns about its charitable status and those issues raised. So will those two issues be addressed as quickly as possible in terms of the charitable status of the Development Board, and equally that there is a guaranteed funding stream throughout the whole development of this hospital, as opposed to us waiting year on year for funding to build this much-needed facility?
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
Well, I think it goes without saying, Deputy Kelleher, that you're not going to have the National Paediatric Hospital built and opened in 2014 or in 2015, and clearly right through to the end of 2016 you're going to have to provide, and the government will provide, exchequer funding, as has always been the case, for the facilities for medical personnel to provide care and attention for children who have to avail of the use of the facilities at the children's hospitals. This goes without saying, and you can take it that the sort of the wind down, as you call it, of the children's facilities is not going to happen in the sense that these facilities have got to be provided and funded parallel to the process of design, planning, construction and fitting out of the new paediatric facility. So it's not a case at all, Deputy Kelleher, of simply having made a decision to build a new National Paediatric and Children's Hospital and at the same time winding down current facilities. That would not be in the best interests of the medical people who work there, or most importantly the children and the service and the facilities that are provided for them. So Minister for Health, obviously, and Government are very conscious of that.
Thank you.